You're falling. Your whole body lurches, a sharp, involuntary kick, like the floor just vanished beneath you. Your eyes snap open, but you weren't falling. You were lying perfectly still, halfway into sleep. And for those few seconds, in the narrow gap between awake and asleep, your brain showed you something it will never quite let you remember. What happens in that gap is something science is only beginning to map. Let's start with what's supposed to happen. Falling asleep feels like a switch. One moment on, the next moment off. The brain, you'd assume, simply powers down. On a normal night, it takes you somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes to cross over. The first stage of sleep, scientists call it N1, lasts only a few minutes. It's the thinnest layer of sleep there is, the doorway, not the room. Most people pass through it without noticing. But here's the thing, that doorway is not empty. Right now, inside that brief window, your mind is doing something strange. Faces drift up out of nothing. You hear your name. A sentence arrives, fully formed and absurd, and you half believe it. Roughly 70% of people experience the sudden jerk, the hypnic jerk, and almost everyone at some point sees or hears things that aren't there. This is hypnagogia, and it isn't broken sleep. It's a third state of consciousness, hiding in plain sight, every single night of your life. For most of the last century, scientists treated this state as noise, meaningless static on the way down. Then, in 2021, a neuroscientist named Delphine Oudiette, working with her colleague Célia Lecoq at the Paris Brain Institute, decided to test something almost no one took seriously. They were inspired by Thomas Edison, who used to fall asleep holding steel balls in his hands, so that the instant he dozed off, the balls would drop, clatter to the floor, and jolt him awake, supposedly with his best ideas. Folklore, a nice story. Oudiette's team ran it as an experiment. They gave 103 people a math problem with a hidden shortcut buried inside it, then let them rest, Edison style, holding a bottle that would fall if they drifted off. The results stopped them cold. The people who reached that first sleep stage, and only that stage, found the hidden trick at roughly 3 times the rate of those who stayed fully awake. Her summary of it was blunt. There is, she said, a creative sweet spot at the very edge of sleep, and we have been sleeping straight through it. Now let's pause here, because this is where the science meets something much harder to explain. People have been mining this state for ideas for centuries, long before anyone could measure it. Most people assume creativity is something you chase wide awake, at a desk, focused. But the people who've actually done their best thinking here say it's the opposite. It happens the instant you stop trying, the instant your grip on the waking world loosens just enough. In the summer of 1816, an 18-year-old woman was staying in a cold villa on Lake Geneva. A storm had trapped the group indoors for days. One night, unable to sleep, she lay in the dark in that thin, half-conscious state, not awake, not dreaming, and a vision rose up unbidden. She saw a pale student kneeling beside the thing he had assembled. She saw it stir. She saw the hideous flicker of life in a body stitched from the dead. She did not invent it at a desk. She watched it arrive. Her name was Mary Shelley, and the waking dream she described became Frankenstein. She was 18 years old, and the story found her in the dark. This raises a question science still cannot fully answer. Where, exactly, do these images come from, when the conscious mind has already left the room? Let's go back to the brain. At sleep onset, your prefrontal cortex, the part that polices logic, that keeps thoughts in straight lines, begins to go quiet first. The associative regions stay online. So for a few seconds, you get raw connection without a sensor. In 2020, a separate team at MIT, Adam Horowitz, Robert Stickgold, and Patty Mays, built a device called Dormio to prove it. They caught people in this exact window and whispered a single word to steer the dream. It worked. The sleepers wove that word into their hallucinations and woke up measurably more creative. 2 labs, the same hidden door. And here is the cruel part. The state is biologically self-erasing. Stay too shallow and you snap awake with nothing. Drift too deep into the next stage and the door closes. The benefit vanishes. The window is seconds wide, and it deletes itself as you pass through. From the outside, falling asleep looks like a body shutting down. But from the inside, for a handful of seconds every night, it's the freest your mind ever gets. You won't remember it tomorrow. You'll think nothing happened in the dark between lying down and morning, but something did. The best idea you never had was standing in that doorway, right before the floor gave way.